going, everyone? It's me, Whiplashthesnake, where we are still doing the intro competition. We're doing the top 5. This is just another one of the intros right there. So if you enjoyed this one, please let me know. This one in particular was made by Wooksy. Be sure to show him some support. If you do want this to be the new intro for the channel, I have his channel link and the video link in the description down below. All you have to do is leave a like on that video, and the one with the highest likes will obviously become the newest intro. With that being said, let's just get right into the life story. It's a pretty interesting one today, and it actually didn't happen that long ago. It was basically like last Christmas. And you know, this was kind of insane because we obviously didn't plan on this happening during this trip, but let's just get right into it. Alright, so if you know Arizona at all, it's basically an endless desert with absolutely nothing to do except lay outside and burn yourself. However, there's one like really strange area of Arizona that for some reason actually gets snow and actually has real weather instead of just heat all the time. And that place is known as Flagstaff, and it's basically the only place in Arizona that ever gets snow, and it normally gets snow every single winter. So as a kind of tradition for the entire family, we all go down there before Christmas time, spend time in the snow to get into the Christmas spirit. You know, we go down there about 2 or 3 days before Christmas actually starts. It's a short trip really, but it's really good and it's nice to spend it in the snow. And we've basically been doing this since we were little kids, so it wasn't anything new to us. We go down there every year. However, this year was going to be a little bit different because normally we would stay in this one hotel, but the hotel was expensive as hell and completely booked up. And the house that we would stay at the other years where we weren't able to get a room, well, the people that we would rent it from had already sold it. But luckily, through a family friend, we were able to find another house that was down there that we were able to rent out for the entire weekend that we were down there. You know, along the conditions that we don't mess anything up really, and well, we leave it nice and clean. Which was great because, you know, we had a house down there for, you know, going around and stuff. We had heat, electricity. The only thing we really didn't have was internet, and that kind of sucked. But, you know, we roughed it hardcore style, and, well, we decided to go out, and we spent the first day, like we normally would, going out up, like, this giant mountain. I think it was to Snowball or something around those lines, you know. It was a big mountain. It had all tons of snow on it. People were skiing down it. People were snowboarding down it. It wasn't the kind of scene that you would expect for Arizona, but it was happening on that mountain. And so, you know, we spend the day up there, we play in the snow, you know, have a good old snowball fight with each other, build a snowman, basically get into the Christmas mood, you know, seeing snow, which is something that we do not see for the other 364 days of the entire year. But so that day goes by all fine and everything, everyone has a great time, we go back to the house, play a few board games, you know, play some card games, and I rage quit a few times because I was losing, and I'm a sore loser like that, but whatever. We all have a great time at the end of it, and well, at the end of the night we decide to go to bed, and this is where everything starts to go wrong, because we go to bed and then wake up in the morning and suddenly everyone's just freaking out, everyone's screaming, everyone's like, oh god, what's happening, what do we do, what happened? And I at first was like, what is everyone talking about? Because I had literally just woken up. And normally during these types of family events and everything where everyone's together, you know, staying in these types of houses while we're at places, I'm normally the last one to wake up anyway, so this wasn't anything out of the usual. But basically everyone was panicking and had no idea what they were going to do. And so being confused why everyone was freaking out and, you know, panicking about something, I asked them like, what's going on? What happened? And you know, they turn around and tell me, oh, your mom had went out to go get coffee for everyone in the morning, you know, to start off the day out in the cold. You know, a nice cup of coffee would be a really nice treat out here. So she went out to Starbucks and, well, got there, picked up some coffee, and apparently on the way back it started to snow, and it made the roads all slippery and stuff, and normally she had been from Chicago anyway, which was basically the snow capital of the US, you know, just besides Alaska. So normally she was used to driving in the snow and no big deal, but apparently after living in Arizona for 10 or so years and not having driven in the snow for a long time, well, she'd forgotten how to do that, and as she was driving back, took a turn a little bit quickly, and the entire car spun out, and hit a curb and basically crashed. Now before you freak out, she was completely fine, okay? It was more of just like a scare thing because, you know, the car just spun in a circle and ran into a curb. She wasn't hurt at all, it was more just shaken up more than anything. But apparently the way the car decided to spin out was the worst way it possibly could have, because the way it spun out is it completely turned around and it hit the curb with the rear tire and completely bent it inwards, which, you know, the rear tires, those aren't the ones that are supposed to turn. And basically it broke the rear tire of the car, leaving it completely undrivable. And to make matters worse, we had about 10 people up there. You know, the one that my mom was driving, the car she was driving, was the van. And the only other car that we had up there that, you know, the other people had brought with them was a normal car, you know, a normal 4-seat car. And so my mom calls everyone and has them go pick her up because, well, she's completely stranded on the side of the road with a broken down car. At this point, my aunt and everyone was in the car going to pick her up because, you know, she was stranded there and she needed to be brought back to the house some way. Because during this time that everyone was freaking out, you know, talking and being like, okay, what do we do now? We're basically trapped at this house. There's 10 of us. There's only one car that's working and that car can only carry 4 people. Of course, the day that this happened had to be a Sunday, so every single mechanic shop was closed, and we had all planned to go back on this day. The most severe part of it being, my grandparents had only brought enough medication for the trip itself. We had only planned to go like one day, and they only brought enough medication to cover that day. Well, obviously, we needed to get back and fast, and other people were going to have to stay behind and try and get this car repaired. And so everyone was talking, everyone was like, okay, what are we gonna do? We obviously need to find some way to repair this. Hopefully it's not the rear axle that's broken on this car, because if that's the case, then we're in for a really expensive and really long fix, and we need to get back so that the grandparents can get their medication. And so basically, at the end, what we decided was this. For the entire ride home, we would take basically my aunt, we would take me, we would take my cousin, and we would take my grandma. And since my grandma needed the medication the most, it was the most urgent that she got home. I really needed to get home so that I could do some server stuff for the Minecraft server that I was working on at the time. And, well, my aunt and cousin, well, they just wanted to go home. So eventually my mom gets back and she's completely in tears. She thinks she ruined the whole trip, which, you know, she kind of did, but we didn't tell her that because we didn't want to make her feel bad. You know, we sat there for a while, we kind of talked for a bit, we tried to figure out how to get this car fixed, and basically, like I said, who was going to stay there and who was going to go home. But so I get into the car and we start leaving, and everyone there is still freaking out at the house, and we're just driving home at this point, the long ride. Get back to the house eventually after like a 3-hour drive, and basically the responsibilities I had been given was make sure that the house was still completely fine, make sure I fed all the animals and got everything done with them, make sure they were all taken care of, and well, just making sure the house didn't get torn down while we were away. And so, you know, I could manage that, but we get home and the first thing I realize is I go over to the refrigerator and I look at the ground and it's completely filled with water. And I guess apparently before we left, someone didn't close the refrigerator all the way, so every single piece of food in the refrigerator had spoiled and was rotting, and it was disgusting. So that was more fun news to call back and tell everyone who was still stressing back at the house. But eventually we got that all cleaned up and everything from there was fine. It actually didn't happen to be the entire rear axle was broken, it was just like the tire itself where it connected. And it was basically a part that isn't supposed to break ever on a car, unless, you know, you jam it into a curb, which happened. And so it was kind of a specialized part, so they had to wait an extra day down there to have it shipped down to Flagstaff so that they could get it installed on the car. In total, I think they were down there an extra 2 days. It was just a crazy situation. By the time it got back, everyone was just like at the end of their rope and just like, yeah, we're not gonna do this next year, but we're probably still going to, you know. It's a tradition, but we're probably not going to drive as much. But yeah, again, guys, I hope you enjoyed this story. It was kind of a strange one, you know, happened just last year, so hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button, I would really appreciate it. And if you really liked it, that subscribe button. I would love a new addition to the Snake Army. If you have any crazy stories like this one, make sure to leave them down below. I would love to read them. And also, if you enjoyed the intro to this video and want to see on the rest of the videos, make sure to go to that channel below and leave a like on that video. And now that my video is done and you have no excuse not to go and check out anything else, well, I have yesterday's video playing on screen right now, and if you don't want to do that and you think that I absolutely suck, I have 3 other options laying out below here. We have Chubbs, Soron, and Supoz. They all do great stuff. I highly recommend them. Also, make sure to check me out on Twitter. I do a lot of stuff there. With that being said, I will see you on the next one tomorrow. Whiplash signing out.